fanboys. I hear them calling to lynch my name. I hope they hear me. I know, oh my god, I'm reviewing another big name band. Oh my god, Legends in the Metal Field. Don't worry. Fanboys, take a break. I can't do anything about the glare, I apologize, but I too am a 6 Feet Under fan. Hell, I'm a Chris Barnes fan. As you can tell, I have been a fan for a while. I don't have all their albums, in fact I still don't have their last one. But I got a good amount of them. And unfortunately, as you know, my laptop at this point is FUBAR. It is currently out for repairs. There it is. It's currently out for repairs. Should be back in 2 weeks, so I will be able to have some background information a little better than what I have now, unfortunately. Just right now I don't have that much, because I can't really do a lot of research. But what I do know, obviously, like many others out there, 6 Feet Under was originally a side band to Chris Barnes, the vocalist who, at the time, was of Cannibal Corpse. And it was going on in the background. He had to leave Cannibal Corpse, and 6 Feet Under got picked up by Metal Blade, and they also had Cannibal Corpse at one point. And they've been on Metal Blade ever since. And Chris Barnes is essentially a flagship for the label at this point. They were originally a death metal band, obviously. They shifted over to death and roll, and then they shifted back to death metal, which I'm actually very happy about. The death and roll stuff, it was fun. It was not exactly what I expected from 6 Feet Under. The Graveyard Classics albums were always a blast to listen to. But I digress. That's not what I'm here to talk about. Today, I am here to talk about the new album, Unborn. And again, I'm a fan. I love 6 Feet Under. I love the groove that their music has. I love the intensity, some of the aggression that is usually in there. So when this album hit my inbox, I had been dying to talk about it for a while. And then my computer went, I just haven't had a chance to do so. Plus, it was still pretty early compared to the upcoming release date. But I can't hold off anymore. I'm going to talk about Unborn, their brand new album that's due out through Metal Blade Records. Let me talk about the production first, and then I'll go into what makes this album so great. Honestly, I didn't like this at first. It took a while to grow on me. The reason why, it's a heavily varied album. The production for it is, it's got a pretty modern digital trait to it. The music itself is pretty low, like toned down somewhat. The guitars have more of a mid-range bluntness to them. The bass is very rich and deep. The cymbals are rather distant, but they still fill the music well. Snares more up front and tighter, but the bass kicks have a nice click to them. They do help to fill things out nicely. They're slightly louder than the rest of the kit, so they don't really dominate a lot. The vocals, however, are the loudest and have always been the biggest complaint by a lot of people. Many people I know don't like 6 Feet Under anymore because Chris Barnes sounds like a death metal grandpa, basically. But you know what? I don't care. I like the vocals, especially on this album, because of a lot of the atmosphere and variety that the band brings to the music. They sound... I think they've sounded their best since their first 3 albums. On this and their previous 2 albums. I think it was, what, 13? I forget the name of the album when they first started going back into the death metal right after the death and roll. I think they sound the best on this album than they have compared to a long while. So I was really excited when I heard the vocals the way they were. They have some layering effects on them at times. Very, very few clearly studio-augmented things, and the pig squeals are kept to a very, very minimum. They really show up on the very end of the album. Curse of the Ancients, I think, had the most. And they were just long in the background. It got a little annoying, I'll admit, but they were distant, and they were just there. So, if you hated the pig squeals, don't worry, they're not really present. There's no noise going on either, so that's good. That was something that I liked. I think I heard that kind of shout once on the entire album. but still, there's a lot of variety to this album. There's a mixture of melancholic atmosphere with catchy, depressive style riffs, and then just simpler groove tracks. There's a lot to talk about with this album as far as awesome songs. That's actually how the album starts out, though, the not melodic, but the melancholic, depressive atmosphere. The song, Neuroosmosis, this was with the first song of the album. The second I heard it, I hated this album. It took a while for the song to grow on me. But you know what? The atmosphere that those riffs give off is really interesting. It's not too complex. It's nothing too over the top. It's a very subtle tone, and it honestly sounds pretty good after a while. It's got some acoustic riffs to it as well. It's a very slow and brooding song. It doesn't really go anywhere major, but it's a nice start to the album, especially if you look at it more as an introductory track than anything, even though it is just a regular song. The next song, though, this is the one that really grabbed me, even on the first listen. It's called Prophecy, and this song is a beast. The vocals are tight. There's a great deal of layering, especially in the chorus, that really help it out. It's just got one hell of an infectious groove. There's actually a little more energy than some other songs provide, and even a bit of a hopeful tone. The way the chorus is set up, and even some of the lyrics, it just sounds like more of a... like Chris Barnes is depicting more of a tale of a hero who's not going to let anything bad happen to somebody, or himself. And honestly, it just sounded more like, okay, well, we're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, I'm not going to let them get to you, that kind of thing. And that actually is backed up by the next song, Zombie Blood Curse. It's slightly faster, a bit of a mid-tempo track. It has, again, tight vocals. They sound really good on this one. Prophecy easily has some of the best on there, especially in the chorus. This song is really infectious. It's got a simpler groove, but the drumming is a lot better, especially towards the chorus. They really stand out more here. It's just a really strong song. Another one that'll instantly grab your attention. Again, though, you may have to take a few listens to actually get into this song, even with Prophecy and many of the others coming up. Like I said, it took me a little while to get into it. And then Fragment. This one surprised me because it was one of the deepest sounding songs, as in tone, especially in the vocals. It has the deepest gutturals that you'll find on the album. And again, it's got that dismal, atmospheric performance in the guitars, similar to Neuroosmosis, except it doesn't have the acoustic chords. It's a very simplistic track. Honestly, out of all of them, this is the one that, to this day, I still am not the biggest fan of. It's still a good song. Next was Alive to Kill You. This one showed traces of early 6 Feet Under, to the point where I wanted to break out my early 6 Feet Under albums, the earliest that I have, I should say. Easily the most aggressive track on the album. The cymbals are more predominant here, and the drumming is just a lot richer and tighter, especially in the bridges. Heavy 6 Feet Under influence, like I said. There's a breakdown at the end of this song, and there are some breakdowns throughout the album. This one is easily the most crushing of them, though. It suits the music well. I mean, it's nothing fantastic. It's not going to make you drop down and want to start a mosh pit and punch somebody in the face. Or for the hardcore kiddies out there, you know, practice your ninja kicks. But it's still a pretty good breakdown. Makes the song a lot tighter. Flows smoothly from start to finish. I enjoy it. I still do to this day. I think it's still a pretty kick-ass song, to be perfectly honest. But of all the songs, it's the next two that really stood out. As you get near the end of the album, the music does seem to get a little tighter and just better all around. Inferno is a bit of a slower track. It's very dismal again, but not with the atmospheric, melancholic, and depressive riffs that were mentioned earlier. It's a very crushing track. It's got an infectious, simpler groove to it as well. A lot of the songs do. This one just has a little bit of additional energy throughout, the chorus especially. And the chorus is the simplest one as far as the lyrics go. It's basically just Inferno being said over and over, but it just works so well with the song. There's a good amount of authority behind it, and it just sounds fantastic. And finally, the last song is Psychosis. This one is actually similar to Inferno. The only difference, really, is that it's faster. The chorus is a little more complex in the lyrics. Same with the music. There's a little more going on in that part, even the bridges and the regular verses. There's more energy all around, though, and that really just makes me... I guess you could say it makes me want to start a mosh pit, but not really a violent one. It's another good song. It's definitely one of the better ones off of it, but the energy that is felt in the music and the vocals really can transfer onto the listener. It's that strong a track, even for something that's a little more on the simplistic side. And that's the main issue about Unborn. That's the reason why I didn't get too into it at first. It was just too simple. I was hoping for a little more complexity in the grooving of the music. I didn't really get that. But this is a fantastic album. I love it. I think the simplistic material, after a while, it's something that's going to have to grow on you, but it does offer a good deal of variety, like I said. You can find tracks that are dismal and atmospheric, and then you can find songs that are a little more hostile and aggressive. So there's something for everyone, for every mood on here, if you're a fan of death metal. But of course, if you don't like Chris Barnes' vocals, chances are you're not going to find this all that great. But it's still worth a listen. You can check out some of the samples online at this point, I'm sure. They do have the single... I believe the single actually is Zombie Blood Curse. You can check that out on YouTube. It's a lyric video. Zombie Blood Curse, it doesn't really stand up for a lot of what's coming out. I really wish Prophecy were the lead single. That song is a beast. It is easily the best off the entire album. And I have no idea why they went with Zombie Blood Curse, but Prophecy, if you have the time, you need to hear that song. And honestly, you need to hear this album, especially if you're a fan of 6 Feet Under. The second I got this, I've had it in the car, I've got it on my MP3 player that I just got recently. I love it! I think it's one of the best albums that come out this year so far, and we're only into March of this year. It's the first week still. I'm definitely ready to throw this in as a entry for Album of the Year. With only one song that I didn't really enjoy too much, I gotta give it a 9.5. I love Unborn from 6 Feet Under. I think this is a fantastic album, and one that you guys definitely need to hear. If you enjoy death metal, simplistic or technical, more simplistic than technical in this rate, it's definitely worth a shot. Keep an eye out for it. Keep an eye out for more singles, because I expect more than Zombie Blood Curse to come out at some point. If there isn't a music video for this, Metal Blade will definitely drop the ball, and it definitely has to be for Prophecy or Inferno. But other than that, entry for Album of the Year, it's definitely there. At least that's my opinion. So, fanboys, I hope you're happy, because for once, I actually agree with you.